and welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into reparenting, exploring all of the tools and resources that you'll need to help you along your journey. This podcast is divided into 3 sections. First is a daily reading. Second is a discussion on the reading followed by journal prompts. And the last section is a peaceful meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. Thanks for being here for another day of reparenting. I much appreciate your presence and your continued support. If you could go ahead and give us a like, share, subscribe, and follow wherever you're listening, that would be greatly appreciated so that we can help others find the podcast and also to join our community. If you can also give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and Spotify Podcast, that would be greatly appreciated. Those are the 2 biggest platforms for this podcast. So yeah, all of your help and support there would be greatly appreciated. Just as a reminder, also, we have now a Reparenting Daily community that you can join via the Patreon. It is either $10 or $20 per month, depending on if you're a student or a normal adult. If you need assistance, a reduction or something, you can also contact me and ask for that if you're having financial difficulties. But the goal here is to create a place where we will have twice weekly Zoom meetings to discuss reparenting. One meeting will be a book club. We will read through some text and just to create a community and open space where we can come to connect and to support each other on our reparenting journey, to bring the missing knowledge, to bring the missing emotional experiences, and everything else that we need to help us in this open, safe, and non-judgmental community that's dedicated for your reparenting. In addition to that, if you join the Patreon, you'll also gain early access to the Lessons for Reparenting Daily podcast. So those will be released bi-weekly, but if you join the Patreon, you'll be gaining access to those earlier. So go ahead and check that out as well. And that's it. So let's go ahead and get over to the reading, guys. Today's reading is from ACA's Daily Meditation, and it's entitled Passive Aggressive. By addressing our fear, we release some of our glaring behaviors of manipulation, passive aggressiveness, and false kindness. Big Red Book, page 40. We grew up in homes where love was conditional. How we were treated depended on how well we acted. Many of us were so fearful of being punished or ostracized that we learned to manipulate those around us. Some of us became very good at passive-aggressive behavior. We learned to get what we thought we wanted or needed without directly asking for it by putting on a false mask. Because these were survival mechanisms based in fear, as adults we realized that they weren't really what we needed. For some of us, the frustration of feeling like we had to operate in this manner often built to a point where we would explode, sending ourselves spiraling into some form of addiction to cope. Eventually, we landed in a place where we didn't know who we really were. For those of us who are lucky, when all of our tactics failed us, we found our way to an ACA meeting. This is where we began to face our underlying fears and learn how to be honest with ourselves. We start to relate to others in a healthy manner. Yes, it is challenging to change some ingrained habits, but we know it's possible. We see others in the program doing it all around us. On this day, if I am tempted to manipulate others with old behaviors, I will affirm to myself that I am capable of new, healthy, and life-affirming behavior. Thank you, and that's the reading for today. Today's reading sheds light on the roots of passive-aggressive behaviors and manipulation that many of us developed as survival tactics during our childhood. In homes where love and acceptance felt conditional, many of us learned to mask our true selves or to avoid direct communication, as a way to avoid punishment or rejection. But while these strategies might have helped us to survive, they also kept us from getting what we truly needed, leaving us feeling frustrated and lost. Through the process of reparenting, we're giving a chance to unlearn these patterns. By facing our fears, we begin to let go of the mask we wore and the manipulations we used to feel safe. It's a process, but each small step, we become more honest with ourselves and more authentic with others. We learn that we can ask for what we need openly, and that we are capable of healthy, affirming relationships that don't rely on hidden motives or false kindness. Learning to communicate authentically and shed these old behaviors can feel challenging, but it's also extremely freeing. Each time we choose honesty, we affirm our growth and begin to uncover who we truly are. Here are some journal prompts you can use to reflect on today's reading. Reflect on a time you acted out of fear of rejection or punishment, using passive aggressiveness or manipulation to get what you needed. What were you really hoping for in that moment? And how would you express it directly? Second, consider your current relationships. Are they ways you might mask your true feelings or avoid direct communication? How might you practice more openness and honesty in that relationship? Next, what fears do you have around being direct and honest about your needs? Write down these fears and then list a few ways you might start addressing them with compassion. Think about a moment in your life when you truly felt authentic and honest with someone. How did your experience feel? What did it teach you about the value of being true to yourself? And lastly, write down an affirmation for moments when you feel so tempted to use and turn back to old behaviors. For example, I am safe to be direct and honest, or I honor my true self by expressing my needs openly. Thank you, and as always, take care of yourself and be well. And now, let us move on to the final section, the meditation. This is an unguided meditation. I will simply provide some music and you can take some time to relax. Please feel free to choose a location and a place where you feel safe and where you can be undisturbed for the next 10 minutes. You can choose to be sitting down, standing, as you like, wherever you are most comfortable. Thank you for being here and enjoy the meditation.